Hello, I'm Bob the Bookerer and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about The Details by Genberg and translated by Josefsson. And this is a book as part of the International Booker Shortlist, and a book that I found really interesting in a lot of ways. It's a book that I sort of mentioned in the wrap up of all the shortlist as being a book that I really didn't know what to expect when I kind of approached it. It's a book that some people really loved, some people really did not seem to love, and it's an incredibly short book. It's told as these four headings basically that aren't particularly long themselves. The whole book is about 150 pages. But it really looks at the sort of breakdown of people who kind of appear in and out of your life. And kind of as a result, what that looks like as a sort of, as you go on, what does it mean to have people and kind of connect with people? I will go into some spoilers as we go into the book, into the video, but I'll try and keep those as minimal as possible. I think most likely I won't need to, but most of what I talk about will be covered in things that you can glean from the back or that are covered very early into the book. And in many ways as well, and I'm not insulting the book by saying this, it's not a book that's very heavy on plot. It's not a book where lots of things happen. It's more a set of thoughts about people who have come in and out of a life. So with that said, let's get talking a bit about this book. One thing you notice very early into this book is that the four headings are people's names. And that, although that sounds a bit vague at first, the book very quickly starts to set up what that might look like. These people who appear in their lives and sort of disappear again afterwards. So we learn about loves and losses and various other things. These people come in, and quite early on we're introduced to this idea of talking about an author who has recently sadly passed away, Paul Auster, and particularly the New York trilogy. And the New York trilogy as a reference point then almost seems to make a bit more sense with this book, because the New York trilogy, and I've not read it yet, seems to sort of, focus on really trying to tell this sort of microcosm of a life through various things. And in some ways, this almost seeks to do the same with characters who sort of thread together to make this one bigger narrative about who somebody is. So sort of telling the story of somebody through who's not there anymore, or through who has been there. And so I think the book does something really interesting quite early on. We learn about person after person, and often we sort of see how things went wrong, or, this person was horrible in some ways, but also showed them something interesting about themselves, or the love that they can't quite get over until they do. And all of this sort of builds a patchwork of this main character and who we can start to expect that they might be. And I found it really interesting for this, just the way that it approaches narrative, because the book kind of feels like it almost doesn't care about the story or whatever. It just really wants to dig into specifics about somebody, into the details about people's lives. And sometimes these things feel utterly insignificant. We're learning about somebody's favorite thing or whatever, but ultimately this book starts to unravel these little moments of what it is really trying to get at. And we get quite a few references throughout the book about this idea of what does it mean to be somebody? What does it mean to experience life, to be alive, to be a human? And a big part of that this book kind of contends is this idea of loving and letting go, of kind of people coming in, people having a season and then going again. And perhaps it's significant that there are four people that sort of almost feel like four seasons throughout the book. This idea of sort of somebody comes in and then they go, and we learn something. We're maybe bruised by the experience. We maybe love the fact that they've left. We maybe hate the fact that they've left, but something has changed. Something has changed within me. Some things are not the same, as Wicked once said. But the idea of, these things happen, they come and they go. And this book is really more concerned with trying to unpick what that means about the human experience. What does it mean to be somebody? What does it mean to go through life? Life doesn't need to have a narrative. In some ways, this book is intentionally, I think, resisting the urge to tie things up neatly at the end with a bow. Ultimately, we go through life, things happen, sometimes they're not great, but we sort of somewhat stoically endure that and carry on going. And the book really seems to be intrigued with that idea of it doesn't want big, dense thoughts on the philosophy of being together. It kind of wants to say, hey, am I okay with this? Do I not like this anymore? Do I need to leave? And characters in this book do come and go. And there's a sense, particularly as we get further into the book, that when we're introduced to somebody new, we sort of automatically start to sense that maybe they won't be around long, or maybe they will, and maybe they'll be the one to change things. And the book is more concerned with that, I think, as an idea of building up a narrative of, are we who we are through other people? Are we a kind of a composite of experiences of those around us? You know, am I, Bob, an experience of people? You know, am I just a kind of collection of experiences of people I've met and whatever? Or do I have a strong sense of Bobness at my heart, as well as that, or in conjunction with that, or in opposition to that? And I realise this sounds a bit lofty and a bit kind of like it's just kind of aiming for some of these conversations, but I think this book wears it quite lightly. It sort of ducks into a conversation and ducks out and sort of leaves that fairly open. It's a book I've seen a few people describe online as being a quiet book, and again, I know that that is sometimes a loaded description, and I'm conscious of when I use it, that it can feel, particularly it's often levied at books by women, but I think there is something really skillful in the way it's deployed here, because this book sort of suggests an idea, and it tries to poke at the idea of what it means to be alive and what it feels like to be a human. And then it wants to leave that conversation and carry on back talking about what is Birgitta doing now, you know. And I think there's something interesting about that, particularly the sort of the chilled way that this book approaches it. It's a very serene move sometimes between scenes of this book almost feels like somebody stepping back and watching a life go by. And I think it's quite captivating for that reason. So yeah, it's a book that defies kind of easy description, I think, in some ways, because it does quite a few things. I also see why this is not a book that many people would enjoy, because I think it is intentionally elusive at times, but I actually kind of liked that about it. It's not trying to have an answer, it just wants to ask a few questions, and I think there's something quite fun about that, really. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this book, and yeah, I hope you're keeping well. Take care, and speak to you all very, very soon. If you do leave any comments in the chat, please just keep them as free of any spoilers as possible. Again, this is a book that's relatively hard to spoil, I think, because there aren't big plot points that change things in quite the same way as in other books. But I still think, yeah, it's an interesting one regardless, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take care and speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.